Hi, I'm Dave. I make video games, and this is part two of becoming a marketing guru. So, last where we left off, I was working on this character controller. Some of the animations are still a bit messed up. Don't worry about that. Currently, as we have it with this roll, when you hit something, when you start going real fast and you hit something, you fall over. And eventually you'll be flung back a little bit. Problem is, if you're not going super fast, you still fall over. Like if I'm really, really close to this wall, boop, and I just hit the dodge or the roll. That's a bit too much punishment, and so I'm gonna start blocking in a smaller animation for hitting things. You can probably hear my GPU fan chugging in the background. It's 95 degrees here in Michigan, and so it's a war between my air conditioning and my GPU. And in my office, the GPU definitely has the upper hand. So we'll see how this goes. Anywho, so yeah, so I'm gonna make a little animation. That's a little less punishing than that. That should really only trigger when you've built up a lot of speed with this roll, which accelerates. Oh, good stop. Okay, cool. Oh, last time I was working on this run animation. I took it from the block-in stage to the spline stage and just roughed it in. Here's kind of where we left off with that. Go. So nothing fancy. This is actually probably like the fifth version running that we've done. And like the run cycle is something that every animator learns how to do, and I'm not an animator, so it's not easy for me. But even so, with the main character, I've heard it's incredibly important because it's just something you're going to be looking at a lot. And I found it difficult to balance, like, oh, I want to make it super characterful and fun and bouncy and follow all of the animation principles that they tell you to do, which looks great, but then when you're playing, it can feel like slow or out of control or just difficult to parse visually. So there's that. All right, so let's make a new animation. We shall call you small collision. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? I am an active member of my local chapter for IGDA. How does the erase work? No, it's not shift. Oh, there we go. So I'm a active member of our local IGDA branch, which stands for Indie Game Developers Association. And I frequently give talks. I'm going to give a big honkin' talk for our chapter next week about art style. And so I am going to talk to myself, try not to distract myself from working. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So art style. So it's going to be less about like, okay, how does art style affect things like the themes and emotion and the genre, because those talks have been done to death. Though they're still great. Oh gosh, how am I gonna? What kind of pose does he want? Because he's gonna smash into the wall. He's gonna be oof. That's a good oof pose. I'm just gonna act one out for a second. Pause this. Okay, and we're back. I just spent 15 minutes pretending to walk into a wall to kind of figure out what the best pose would be. There's something a little wacky. Say something. Oof. Let's do some non-symmetry here. Okay, that arm is not following IKFK stuff. Let's see. Should be one. Do I want IK or FK for the legs? I'm gonna try IK first. So, why aren't you? Oh, these are supposed to be. Sure. There we go. Legs should be one. So IK and FK is like, forward kinematic or inverse kinematic for. You can almost think of it like the chain of causality for the bones. But that's technical, and I don't think anyone really cares about that stuff. Also, I just got a Discord message while I was pretending to walk into a wall that we're not going to have an IGDA meeting next week because it's almost 4th of July and no one's going to show up. So the thing that I was just prepared to talk about, we're not going to talk about. He's going to be like, what if I could just flatten him along the y-axis? Nope, the y-axis. That's the one. So what am I going to talk about? Because I was going to try and just parse through my thoughts because there's a lot of disparate thoughts and I don't think anyone's going to listen to this, so it's just a good chance to talk to myself. Art style's been really tricky and I've definitely gone back and forth a lot on what we should do art style wise for a couple of these games. Oh man, this is gonna look goofy as hell. I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna change these to be IK or FK. Mumble, 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 mumble. Okay. So art style is hard because there's a lot of it's a very interconnected like spaghetti beast of a problem. So first off, there's all the obvious things with the art style. Like for instance, does it suit the themes of your game? Does it suit the genre of your game? Does it look high quality? And like, is the execution high quality enough so that people trust that you know what you're doing, right? Like is this just like a hobbyist exercise, or is this like a legit for real game to get excited about? All that stuff is tied to your art style. So that's one thing. But then on top of that, there's all these other aspects to it. So for instance, a little bit for this game, way more so for the other game, which I have not talked about publicly yet, is iteration cycle. So like some art styles are a much bigger pain to iterate on than other art styles. Like for instance, let's say you've got like a super painterly art style, which is, maybe you don't know. It's all the rage. Everyone wants their stuff to look painterly right now. One, because it looks cool. Two, it looks high quality, and people want games to kind of feel like art. I'm gonna put a pretend wall here. I think that will help me. That will help me feel out what's going on. So wall. Make this wall colored. Sorry. Tangent on a tangent on a tangent. That's what's going on today. Okay, so painterly art styles, your blizzardy art styles, your arcanes. That's a weird. That's what everyone wants to do right now. But the problem with the painterly art style is it's really dependent on the strokes, right? It's a like it's supposed to be painterly, which means you can see the brush strokes, which means there are brush strokes, right? Visible on the asset. So one consideration you have is like, well, how big are these brush strokes going to be? How dense are they going to be? And that's important because like remember you're making like, you know what, I kind of like it when if it's like totally straight. Like go a little bit cartoon. Let's um stretch these out a little bit. Ooh. Let's get a little wacky with it. Okay. So kind of put yourself in the artist's shoes. Your game has 10,000 assets in them and they all need to be painted, right? And they're all these different assets are going to sit together on the gameplay screen at the same time in the same environment, but the like chronologically, these could be months or years. Like you could have a rock sitting that you painted sit next to a tree that you painted a year before. And that's a really long time. That's a really long time to maintain consistency. And, even if you're an experienced artist, like things drift. Um, like your sensibilities change, like your focuses change. It's really hard to stay, um, it's really hard to stay consistent for that long. Is this too Wile E. Coyote? It might be. Um, but we're doing it. We're gonna go for it. We'll make it look as they say on the internet, like make it look good better. Make it look good later. Okay, so I'm gonna this way and then this way. Okay, so he's like being blah blah. Okay. Um, so maintaining consistency is really difficult and so you got all these brush strokes on these rocks and trees, right? But what do you do if like the brush stroke, like because it's all digital, like there are a few awesome games, but most of them are all digital. So like you've got these like digital brush strokes on a rock next to these digital brush strokes on a tree, right? Well, what do you do if this scale that you were painting on the rock is just like a little different than the scale on the tree, and so all the brush strokes look much denser on the rocks than the trees. Well, you got to iterate on that, right? So you gotta go in and then um, repaint those rocks sitting next to the new trees to make sure it's all cohesive. Or like, what if you're still tinkering with the palette of your game, right? And so like you're making rocks and you might have a rough idea or maybe even a color script that you're working to of, what is this environment going to look like? What's the color script going to look like for the scene? Um, and so you do all this painting, 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 painting. Oops, didn't want to do that. Didn't want to do that. Sorry, like this is all off the cuff. There's going to be lots of ums if there is anyone actually listening to this. So you're doing all this painting, then you put all the things in your scene together, and you're like, actually, I did like cool blue and purple grays on these rocks, and really, I want to try warm. I want to try like warm beigeish and tan rocks instead. Well, um, you might either like best case scenario, there's a couple adjustment layers that you can do to change that up. But worst case scenario, you gotta repaint the rock, right? And so now the cost of asset creation has I won't say doubled, but it's gone up. But then if you have to iterate multiple times, then it actually did double. Um, so iteration time is huge because again, if you're the artist on your game, you are making 10,000 assets. Um, okay, cool. That is frame 1, super smash on there. Okay, frame 2 is now he's going to be bounced backwards like. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to cancel out all those weird scale things. Okay, so he's bounced off the wall. His momentum is carrying him backwards, but his arms are trailing. His legs are trailing too. This is a weird pose. This is a weird pose. This is a weird one. So yeah, artist, you're going to be making 10,000 assets for your game. Even a small game, like you're talking hundreds. Like in this level, it's like 4 grasses, 2 cactuses, bricks, towers, walls, pots, trees, treasure chest, other bricks, well, just like random little platforms, switches, bad guys, twisters, mosaic platform, dungeon entrance, like just in one tiny little level, there's like wall, there's probably like 20 or 30 distinct assets, like just for this one zone, which is not as lushly decorated as it could be. There's like a lot of asset reuse. Like the towers are more or less the same. Trees are all basically the same tree. Then there's like a bunch of assets you see that just got cut, right? Like there's lots of things I made earlier versions of this. Oh, rocks. I didn't even say rocks. There's like 5 different types of rocks. Rocks, man. Spent so much time making rocks. I'm not sure I like the curve. I don't think I want the whole body being curved, like it's being peeled back. Maybe I'll have the body being like rotated like this. Like that. Ooh. Maybe I'll actually curve it the other way. I'm worried that this is like so much that it won't make sense for him to go back to. Okay, but he's gonna land on his feet like a total champ. Let's keyframe this. Okay. So what was I saying? Yeah, if you're making 10,000 assets and it's only one artist, like one artist is the easiest to maintain consistency. Once you have a team of artists, then it gets even more difficult. I should have gotten rid of that. Okay. Then it gets even more difficult, right? Because now you're policing multiple different people with their own sensibilities. Now you're dealing with style guides, stuff like that. His route, maybe we come back like this way. Maybe I'll turn him. Maybe I'll do this with the root. I'm like trying to decide. I'm trying to decide like what's the biggest bone that I can use for this keyframe pose. So I'm gonna have him like he hits the wall and then he rotates into like, I'm not gonna say ninja stance, but like like some kind of like crouching recovery, because this is just like the little one. Maybe I don't even want to make that big a deal out of it. Maybe I just want him kind of like like just taking a step back. Yeah. Get this one. I'm going to keyframe that stuff. Okay, okay, that's all. I guess it's all keyframed. This stuff. Okay. These are the properties that are like controlling how the skeleton is using. These are the properties that are controlling the behavior of the animation armature. Okay. Squat. So he's using IK. Okay, see how his legs are bending? Now he has a different set of bones for his legs. So he's falling and he's gonna have like a yeah. And this is maybe slightly twisted. Now this leg is gonna be I guess it's fine. These knee distortion's all messed up. This is a very like Gumby-esque character whose joints are supposed to be really squishy and squashy and stretchy, but man oh man, does it make the hip deformation difficult sometimes. Cool, so iteration, we talked about the iteration time. So styles like this are a little easier because since they're flat colors, you can arrange the shaders in such a way that, there we go, let's move the hips out and then maybe rotate them a bit. Where's my wireframe button? Yeah, so you can see the hips are twisted. Gotta fix that. Need some soft piano music in the background. No, oh, this one. Okay. Nope. Nope. There we go. Still weird. Also, I'm going to be looking at this from a 45-degree angle, so that's going to change things also. Sorry, so the shaders are set up in such a way that you can change them in the editor in Unity, right? Like if I don't like this pot, I can go in deep in the pot and like start to tint things, right? Like, oh, I don't like that color, I'll make them more red, or I'll make them more orange. That way you can make the scene kind of look more cohesive more easily. You don't have to like go in, tinker, shove it back into Unity, see how it looks, then go in, tinker again, shove it back into Unity, see how it looks. Let's find a good camera vantage. Okay, that's a good one. That's good. Hi, this is Dave from the future chiming in. From here, I start to trail off a little bit as the dread slowly encroaches on me, realizing that this animation is not working and I'm not 100% sure how to fix it. Don't worry, I do get something that is more or less acceptable. And I'm going to take this moment to shill for my wish list. So in order to publish this game, we're going to need like 10,000 wish lists. So please go to our lovely, beautiful Steam page, wishlist that sucker, and do all the YouTube stuff, the subscribing and the bell, and the comments, and thank you. And I'll leave you back to an increasingly befuddled Dave. Bye. This is the type of thing that if this was a better, more highly produced video, they would probably speed up and just talk over. this is low effort. Sorry. The game's not low effort, but the video is somewhat low effort. Because unfortunately I don't have enough time to do. I would love to do like highly produced, like really catchy, fun videos, but then I wouldn't have time to make games. And that's the important thing. Okay, let's see how this looks. That's too much. This is too much. If you ever wonder how a game can take 5 years to make, it's because you can spend a half hour doing this and then be like, you know what, this is not right. Because this is too long. Okay, I'm gonna pause and walk into a wall for a couple more minutes. I'll be right back.